What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode of the show is brought to you by Beeline Coffee. I've got my own roasted Beeline Coffee, the Roasted Tire. It's delicious. It's a lighter roast. It's medium body. It's got a bunch of caffeine in it, but it's still drinkable all day. I drink the stuff all morning. It is delicious. Beeline Coffee uses the best beans from the most well-known sources, whether it's Ethiopia, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, all different parts of Central America and Africa, where there's a Rwanda roast too. My man Cameron Weiss got his own roast as well. Check that out. Beeline is it's delicious stuff. And if you use code TST at checkout, I'll give you 15% off your entire order. Whether it's a big order, small order, subscription plan, doesn't matter. Beeline Coffee makes a great gift. I got my dad the Coffee of the Month plan for a year last year, and he loves it. He drinks the stuff every day as well. Use code TST at checkout at BeelineCoffee.com. Get yourself a nice helping of Beeline Coffee, the official coffee beverage of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Also, don't forget about Dillon Optics. Those amazing sunglasses I've been wearing now for almost 8 years in our videos. Dillons don't just look different, they work different. It's like looking at HD life. The image quality through this glass is so good and so clear. Whenever people see me wearing my Dillons, they go, "Oh, why are your glasses fogged up?" And I go, "They're not fogged up. This is how they're supposed to look. Here, try them on." And then they try them on and they go, "Wow, this is an amazing level of clarity and vividness from a pair of sunglasses." Go to thesmokingtire.com, click on the Partners tab, and there's a banner ad there for Dillon. If you click on that one, I will send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt with every purchase of Dillon Optics sunglasses. And I'm going to keep wearing these things because I love them. I can't ever imagine myself wearing a different brand of sunglasses. Dillons they're made in America in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's a great company, and I love working with them. Go to thesmokingtire.com. Click on the Partners tab and the Dillon banner. I know that's a couple of steps, but there's really not a better way to do it right now. And I'll send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt if you order up a pair of Dillon Optics sunglasses. All right, on this episode of the show, we've got IndyCar driver Ryan Phinny in studio. Ryan is a local, actually, who I met at Bill's, a.k.a. Malibu Kitchen. Rolled up on one of these cool Royal Enfield motorcycles that he's actually now the distributor of. Ryan is a serious car enthusiast, motorcycle enthusiast, and a lifelong racer who comes from a motorsport family. And he's an interesting guy. He's very talented and young, energetic, fun, and we're happy to have him in studio. It's IndyCar driver Ryan Phinny on this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello, Smoking Tire Podcast. This is how we start. Boom,
Dude,
we're here.
I love it. This is
we
cool.
are fucking here on a Monday. Ryan Phinny in the house. Hello, sir.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me. This is definitely cool.
Racing driver. I don't want to pigeonhole you into just Indy cars. GT cars, open wheel cars.
Yeah, I mean the focus for me has been open wheel, but given the way that everything is in the racing world, you end up crossing
you seat where you're seated.
That's exactly right. You go after wherever the seats are, and I've been fortunate at times, and then also been unfortunate with the way that it is. But I feel like that's kind of the story for everyone in racing for the most part. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's cool. I definitely love my sport. There's things I don't like about it, but
like what? Let's start there. Let's just start by shitting on your sport. No, we can get to that.
It's not. It's the. Trust me. I mean, it's the 90% of the sport is away from the wheel kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. That's like my gig too, dude.
100%. Yeah.
Everyone's like, dude, your gig fucking rules, and I'm like, what you should watch is a video of me responding to emails for 10 hours straight.
Oh God,
that would be exciting.
Yeah. No, they it's interesting. It's definitely a very it's time consuming away from the car.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you have to do away from the car other than
I mean, the constant game is the sponsorship game.
Right.
I mean, you spend hours and hours and hours, working on sponsorship, doing stuff, to make sure you get in the car, and you're constantly communicating with, team owners, things like that, who are, a lot of the time super, willing to work, but then they're like, yeah, so, what kind of budget, what do we bring to the table kind of deal? And
yeah, because that's sort of a lot of your value is like to a team owner is like,
absolutely.
what can you do for me? Like,
what can you bring to the table?
Yeah, because there's a lot of fast people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a lot of fast, but it's like fast plus do you have the right look? Can you bring in the right cash? That sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately in recent years and there's been a lot of guys who have been in and out of seats. Like one of my good buddies, Connor Daly's one of those guys.
I know that name.
Yep, super good dude. He's struggled to stay in a ride and but he's totally deserving of it. He's quick and it's one of those things that there's a lot of people that come into the sport and all right, here's a check. Yeah. And the good guy.
Are there gentleman drivers in IndyCar?
No, right. Definitely not. Definitely, I mean,
there's gentleman drivers in F1.
Yeah, from like
when I learned that shit, it fucking blew my mind.
Well, I mean, that's like the F1. That's like the F1 classic. But I mean, once you get like to I think like the last rank of where there's like gentleman drivers essentially in open wheel stuff, like in like the real racing series stuff, is like Star Mazda. I think had some.
Dude, no, there's totally fucking gentleman drivers in F1, dude. Manor Racing and all that shit. Those are gentleman drivers.
Well, Manor's gone.
Well, but they were there until fucking 8 months ago. They're not like, it wasn't like they were gone in the 80s. They were gone last year.
Well, I mean,
there's some Force India fucking gentleman drivers, dude.
Well, I mean, the Force India guys are actually super young coming up this season. They're really young. I know that Force India just got bought out by.
Who did they get bought out by?
So they got bought by a kid's dad.
Yeah, well, okay.
Case in point.
Case in point. Were saying.
So,
what are they called now? Racing Point Force India?
Is that what it is now?
That's what Zach just found. Racing. Are these the new colors? Fucking pink?
Oh, they started pink last year. So Lance Stroll bought the team, and
Lance Stroll, right? Yep.
He's the money guy behind a couple major fashion labels and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And
so yes. So there are gentleman drivers in F1, and it's Racing Point Force India. Is he grabbing his junk?
I'm not. Well, it's not gentleman drivers per se. That's there's obviously, the older guys are the ones who are going to own the teams. That's the way it is. But at least the drivers are still range in that, Max Verstappen got in there when he was like 17, I think, 18, with the Red Bull program. But now he's like, he's a little older. But I think the oldest guy in F1 is now Kimi, who's like 40,
he's old. For
F1.
41,
I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Somebody online will probably.
Jesus, these guys have really committed to this fucking pink thing, haven't they? There's pink all over.
I think that
breast cancer month.
No, that's the whole year. I think that's their sponsors, like some brand that and their colors are pink. But it's hey, dude, rock it.
It's just a heavy. It's a heavy. Zach just pulled up a picture of one of the cars. It's like a heavy amount of pink.
Oh yeah,
entirely pink. Hashtag Pink Panthers is what it says.
Oh really? Yeah. Well, look, if you're fucking winning, great.
Hey.
If you're pinking in the back, that's shitty. That sucks. You know what I mean? But it's like salmon pants are great if you're fucking everybody. But if you're not, if you're striking,
if you're winning, if you're just winning at life and everything, I get that. I still don't think I would wear salmon pants at this point.
You do in Nantucket.
Yeah, but I still don't think I'd rather opt for the white. I feel like that's just
the whites are good.
Yeah,
the whites look good on everybody. You just need a matching blazer. You need matching sunglasses and a white belt.
Yeah,
and you're golden with the white.
Yeah.
But you can't drink red wine with the fucking. Otherwise, you're really rolling the dice. That's some dangerous shit right there.
You gotta be careful.
Fucking a bottle of cab and white pants. You're
white pants and your boat shoes and whatnot.
Yeah. So how'd you start driving race cars? Your dad was a race car driver, right?
He was back in the day, and he got into it later in life, and so he was kind of, he went to college and actually did a bunch of stuff, was in the film industry for like a little bit, and then got into restaurants when like his last year of college. Like he did camera work for like when the USC game, like the old games in the Rams, when the Rams were originally in LA, which is kind of cool.
The OG Rams.
The OG Rams. And then he kind of he got into cars, and that kind of got him into racing, and that's kind of how I met a lot of people. I mean, obviously in racing was, through him, but I got started in go-karts when I was 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you good?
Yeah, I mean, I got.
Obviously,
so
you're a
when you first start,
instantly
when
good?
you first start, no, I mean nobody really is, but it's like there comes like the fear factor, and like there's like the people that putt around the track, and I was the complete opposite. I was like the dude who was like full throttle until it was barriers.
Yeah,
like just go. Oh shit.
Where are you from originally?
So I was born here in LA. I grew up in Carmel, like literally by Laguna Seca.
Oh, that's right.
5 minutes.
Yeah, because your dad, because the restaurant,
we got the other Baja Cantina.
Yeah, so Baja Cantina. If you've ever been to Monterey Car Week, Baja Cantina is a well-known spot. That's your family's spot.
We are car people.
Yeah, and there's a Thursday, right? Is the Baja Cantina show? Is it Thursday or Wednesday?
Yeah, Thursday nights during like the summer, like daylight savings time. So we just had the last one. And God, it's actually not half bad. I just talked to my parents earlier, and there's some ash from, fires and stuff starting to like smoky air and whatnot. So people aren't going to want to drive.
Those fires aren't near there though, are they?
They're not not like super close, but it travels. I mean, they hit San Francisco. Did you read your iPhone the other day? Like yesterday, it said straight up, San Francisco, and you look at the bottom where it says air quality.
Oh, is it
just said straight up unhealthy.
It says like Beijing.
It's in Santa Cruz. It's like,
is it?
Yeah, the sky there was all kind of grayed out, and the sun was all orange looking.
It was on the beach on this weekend was crazy. I mean, the fucking fires in Malibu. I mean, you live in Venice, where I live too, and the sky was red. The
like
whole place
Saturday
smelled
morning
like a campfire.
was gnarly.
Yeah, Saturday morning was really bad.
Gnarly.
And I could see from my roof. I went up on my roof, and with binoculars, I could see Malibu. Like I could see the flames, like 100 feet.
Oh, it was gnarly.
It was so wild.
I put some pictures, and I'll put them back up on my Instagram story. I mean, from like the fires in Malibu and everything.
Because you went up in there.
I went up in there on Friday morning
to do what?
So we were getting some cars and some animals and stuff out. I obviously have friends out there, and I had a friend up in Point Doom and had some cars and whatnot, and we needed to help him get stuff out. So we all kind of went up there, took like trucks and trailers. I just drove some stuff out, helped out.
Could you like get to it on PCH? Like how do you?
So in Friday morning, yeah, you still could. They shut down PCH around, I think it was around probably like 10:30, 11 a.m.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we went in there and got it out, but we couldn't come back west on PCH or back south on PCH. So we went over the hill, which was which seemed like counterintuitive considering the fires were like in the middle. But we went like all the way up to we went like way to
north. 118 and then around, right?
Basically, yeah.
So for those not from LA, which is most of you, that is like. It's like driving the wrong. It's like if you want to go from New York to LA and driving the wrong way around the world. You know what I mean? It's literally that level of inconvenience. Yeah. Oh yeah, Zach's got a map for you. It's like, man. So pull that map up for the rest of the world, Zach. So that Point Doom is that little point. No, further the one at the bottom there, where the mouse is, and then on the right, the very right of the screen, is Venice Beach, where we live. And so rather than going PCH, which runs along that, you had to go straight north off the screen. Like we're not even showing off the screen. Past the 101, which is on fire. Keep going. That yellow road across the top, the 118.
Yeah.
Go all the way down there.
Yep.
And go around to the highway to get down. That's like.
And now the 118 shut down because there's another fire up in Simi. Yeah.
So how horrible was it inside the fire zone up there?
I mean, it wasn't too bad when I was there in the morning, but we knew it was going to keep getting worse, and it got consistently worse over like a 30-minute period of time.
Yeah.
And I have multiple friends that live out there, and so that's been like, obviously this whole weekend I've been kind of worried about it, and we wanted to go back out there and get some stuff. Some of my friends from Deus Ex Machina here in Venice, and my buddy runs that lives up in Latigo, and but we just got news like an hour ago.
The table because it reverbs into the.
Sorry,
no, it's the audience at home screams at their fucking radios. I don't care.
No, we got news like 45 minutes ago that his house was all right, but a lot of other stuff wasn't. And right now, the only way they're getting out there is by boat. So people are going on boats from the marina
to Point Doom
and going out to like a couple different places. And so they're parking out and then like paddling in.
They're still?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So the PCH still shut down. It's still bad.
Man.
So, but
but the fire didn't make it to PCH.
Oh,
it
jumped PCH. It went across into Point Doom a couple places. Yeah.
Oh,
whoa.
Fuck.
Oh, it's real bad.
I didn't realize it jumped PCH.
Yeah, that's that's why, I kind of wanted to bring awareness to how bad it actually was, and it's one of those things right now that nobody really knows exactly where they stand if they have when the people that have houses there. And Calabasas, I think, is still under mandatory evacuation, the whole city.
A friend of mine lives in Thousand Oaks, Dave Feinselwer, Zach, and just got the fire literally stopped at his street.
Yeah,
like the house across the street from his burned down, and his house is
crazy.
Fine. Yeah, it was wild.
That's what it's because I saw like some of the Google images that they had up, and they're showing like. And obviously some guys were throwing, flying drones out in that area.
Yeah.
And
is that the map of the fucking fire? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Look how big that is. That is so much fire. Like north to south, that's like an easy 20 miles.
So the yellow is the hill fire perimeter. That's Simi Valleys. And then all of this is the Woolsey fire, which is the Malibu, the one that's in Malibu. Which is
that
a huge
fire. I saw
also.
that fire come over the top of the hill and go down like the top half of the hill in like 30 minutes at like 11 p.m. on Friday.
Did you see those pictures I put up on Instagram?
Yeah.
The videos. I was up at the top in the Marino, the Latitude building, my friend's place there, and we were on the roof looking out, and I just was like, we sat there 5 minutes and just saw one giant one come over the hill.
Huge one came over the hill and down. I was like, holy shit! It was going so fast.
Yeah, no, it's and I'm just now starting to hear of like. The real devastation from like people that are out there, and
oh yeah,
seen a couple burned down cars. Saw an FJ that didn't make it. It's a little heartbroken on that one.
I've only seen pictures, but it's a fucking mess up there.
It's a mess, and luckily, like most people got animals out. That
poor giraffe.
Yeah,
Stanley the giraffe.
They he's all right. They updated on him today, but. This guy out there, his Instagram is at LA Speed. He's been posting, his name's Ari. He's been posting some of the, like, probably the best videos because he lives out there. And first off, he's a badass.
LA Speed?
Yeah.
Can you pull up that Instagram, Zach?
Yeah,
Instagram,
you look at his
LA Speed.
And his stories and everything have just been, like, mind-blowing at what he's been putting up. And first off, he's a badass anyway because he's out there rocking a Unimog.
Oh, this guy's rolling a Unimog?
Yeah,
here we go. Here's a bunch of videos of shit smoldering and
go down
smoking.
a little bit. Go down a little in the thing. Look at check out the yellow Unimog. How rad is that?
Wow.
But he's like, look at that.
That's a fucking fire, dude.
Yeah. And he's another car guy.
What road is this off of?
I think it's Cavalieri Road. That's where he's at. But
God,
he's a car guy. You look at the guys getting the cars out in the background, and
that is a crazy fire.
Yeah. No, it's definitely taking its toll out there, and so I know I talked with you about kind of the event that I'm doing this weekend, and obviously I'd planned it prior to any sort of fire thing like that, and we had a discussion last night: should we cancel it or post?
Is the vintage motorcycle thing?
Yeah. And so we thought about should we potentially cancel it or postpone it at least for the time being, and we decided considering one of the biggest things that everybody seems to need out there, the fire department, who I've been in contact with, and they don't want any more food. They don't want like at all.
Apparently people were just like leaving food at fire stations. Like I saw a tweet that was like, stop leaving food. We got enough food. What do they need?
So they need some, they want cash donations because they need to get equipment out there. They need to, they're trying to do rehabilitation stuff, trying to get more, I guess, not troops, but whatever you call the more firefighters, I guess, but like literally troops of these CAL FIRE guys. But I mean, they're asking for cash donations. And so, right now you can, if you're in throughout the week, you can drop off cash donations at Deus on the corner of Lincoln and Venice there. And then this weekend I am, we're going to do the event, and I'm going to put up a couple cool items, and we'll do like a raffle, and have everyone, buy raffle tickets and donate the money, and if they want to make donations, just trying to help out as much as humanly possible.
It's at Baja?
It is at Baja in Venice
Cantina
Beach
Venice.
here.
What time?
So from 8:30 to 11 in the morning.
Cool. That's good.
So,
I might actually be able to go. Because we're both going to Phoenix, right?
We're both going to Phoenix
that
night.
I might be able to go.
Yeah.
I think my flight's at like 12. I'm going out to our friend Eli Kogan. Is starting this thing called Auto Car Club, which is a car. Jesus, that fucking fire! Is starting this thing called Auto Car Club in Scottsdale, which is a big storage facility, and I'm going to congratulate him, go to a party, and do a little recon for my own place.
Yeah.
Selfishly.
I mean, it's car storage, but it's like Soho House for cars. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's doing more of the event space type of thing, and I don't know if he has a website yet, Zach. But he has an Instagram, Auto Car Club on Instagram. It's got an event space. Mine is not. Mine is more.
You're strictly storage, yeah.
I just don't have the space. He's in fucking Arizona. You can. I think his shit is like 47,000. No, not auto. It's OTTO. Sorry. It's
he's up by the airport, I think.
Yeah, not Phoenix Airport.
No, the Scottsdale Airport.
Yeah, look how fucking huge this place is. It's giant. I think it's 47,000 square feet.
And it already looks like an art gallery, and it's not even done yet.
Yeah, well, he's a little fucking hoity-toity, you know, so he can make it. He can do all the styling and shit.
He's got the styling on down.
Yeah, he wears really tight pants.
He likes bikes too.
He understands. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be cool. He's not competition for me. He's fucking 400 miles away. I'm not worried about it.
No, that's a different deal.
Yeah, it's in a different state. I'm okay.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good on that one.
I actually do. I'm interested to see what he does. His materials and stuff. I want to check out. Yeah.
Yeah, the desert building's a little different than here.
Yeah.
So,
but these fucking fires really threw a monkey wrench into everything.
They threw a monkey wrench into everything for a lot of people, and it's going to be for a long time.
Like the canyons are fucked.
Oh my god!
Ain't nobody just going fun driving up there for a minute.
There's gonna be no fun driving for a while, and I think that they're because of this, they're gonna limit the two, like up to Newcomb's Ranch. What's that road called?
Angeles
up there?
Crest.
Yeah, Angeles Crest.
Why?
Because of the fire stuff right now. Until they're gonna go back in there.
There's fires up there.
No, not yet. No, not yet. But I know that they're starting to all the kind of forest roads. They're now with everything that's gone on in Malibu and Simi Valley. And they're limiting access to a lot of it. Just
really?
Yeah,
I hope not. I gotta go film tomorrow.
I know for the campground stuff, just because I think there's no campfires at all in California right now. Like,
but they didn't allow campfires up there before, did they?
I don't know. I think it's
only
year to year. It's usually like
places.
designated spots. When I went up to Bear Mountain, it was like you can only have them in fire ring areas.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they even shut that down.
Well, I hope they don't. They won't shut down the road just for driving.
I don't think they're going to shut it down. I just think that it's going to be limited.
That would be very annoying.
Yeah,
I need those.
But
roads.
dude, we need the Malibu roads.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out about that. I mean, that's where I ride. It's where I drive and have a lot of fun.
Mulholland's completely fucked, right?
Dude, I don't know. I have an update. I know that a couple of the bridges, like the bridge by the old house down in the canyon, that's gone.
Just gone.
Just straight up gone.
It melted, right?
Because it was like wood and metal frames. So obviously the wood burned, then it collapsed on itself.
Yeah.
And apparently, I think that there's some damage to PCH, is what some of the police that. So a couple of the police that have been patrons. I've known them for a long time of the restaurants, and so they come in. They've kind of updated staff, and so I heard from managers, things like that, of what was going on. And, I don't pop into the restaurants all that much, but every once in a while, it's kind of fun to get whatever the gossip is.
Yeah. And I feel my friend Bill owns Malibu Kitchen and Gourmet.
Dude.
It's the rents are crazy up there. Insane. Anyway, and man, if not that it's anyone's fault if it's a big fucking fire, but if it chokes out his business, that would be very tough. If you can get up there, if you live in LA and you can get up there, maybe not today, but soon, if you've got people who have businesses in Malibu, try and patronize them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
go spend money up there if you can.
The second that we can get up there, I think that's going to be the
I want to go to Bill's
thing.
tomorrow if I can, but I don't know if I can.
That's the weekend spot.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get up there. Do you know where they closed it?
So when I went up the other day on Friday, they had closed it basically at sunset in PCH.
Oh fuck, really?
So you couldn't get past there. They wouldn't even let people pass there who had that was Friday when it was raging out of control. Yeah. But they were you couldn't pass even with your name and your ID, and you lived right there.
Yeah.
So
what a disaster.
It's a disaster.
And the one up north looks even worse by a lot, right? It's real. The one up north is really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Guy Fieri's out there cooking. Like, that's how you know it's bad. When Guy Fieri starts to fucking grill and is cooking for people, that's how you know it's bad. Carl flew in for that.
Yeah, he really Fieri really does that. He donates like lots and lots and lots of food.
No, legit.
Cool.
Carl flew in to help Guy Fieri cook for displaced people.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I actually like kind of wish I would. Next time there's a horrible disaster, I'm gonna go up there and cook with Guy Fieri. I think because I could. Carl's got the in. I will go cook with Guy Fieri. That's fun. There we go. There's them cooking for. Is that a huge fire in the background there?
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Or a sunset with smoke behind.
It's either a beautiful sunset or the whole fucking world is on fire.
Jeez.
One of the two. No. Yeah, but global warming doesn't exist. Climate change isn't real. It's a hoax. What? Anyway.
Did you ever go to kart school? Did you do that?
No, I never did. I never did karting school. So my driver coach growing up is now a factory Ford driver. His name's Joey Hand.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I know Joey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was your coach when you were a kid?
He was coach. Not bad, right? So
not bad at all.
He had just moved out of karting and he got a ride in Atlantic. So I basically filled his place when he moved on, and he was like the factory Emic driver, which was like the Northern California karting factory. I filled his place on that team. And then, that's just kind of how it progressed. And he helped me pretty much every step of the way. He'd come back, during, in between races, he wasn't running Atlantics, all the kart stuff that I did. And then I finished out kind of my karting career with Mike Speed, who was Scott Speed's dad.
Oh, how about that? I was about to ask if he was related. Yeah, it's good racing name.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That was my last couple of years of karting. That's kind of, that was in.
When did you move to cars?
When I was like 15.
Okay.
So I started getting like opportunities to test in some cars when I was like 13 and a half, 14. Spent some time in Buttonwillow, and back then it was
that's pretty gangster. When you're doing like racing and shit, like before you have a driver's license, that's boss move. I like that move. Right?
Actually, that was like the most common question. Like, how can you drive? That's got to be illegal. How can you drive a car?
It's not on the fucking road.
I'm like, it's not on the road. Yeah. Exactly. But everyone's thinking is like, if you're driving a car, you have to have a driver's license.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Listen, I know some fucking dudes that are in their 30s that don't have fucking licenses. That don't have to
they're driving on the street.
They're on the street. Yeah.
There's no DUI checkpoint at the racetrack.
Yeah. Although there should be at a lemons race, maybe there should be.
I've been asked to do that 25 hours of Thunder Hill, or which is to me almost like a lemons race
because there's like 150 cars on the grid.
Yeah, but there's like people who run like LMP cars to like a BMW 318.
Yeah, totally.
Like, wait, what?
I race in AER, which is like a fun series. Yeah. It's not, but there are some very real drivers that do it, for fun. And there's literally like cars that are a half a step above a lemons car. Like a beat ass E30, and then there's World Challenge Corvettes and Caymans, and someone brought a 458 Challenge. I race a fucking Miata, and there's a 458 Challenge. Look at this picture of this grid. Yeah, there's E4. Is he spec E46? And is that a factory? There's a Cobra.
And a Daytona prototype.
Is that a Daytona prototype, or is that a super light SLC?
It looks like a DP. It looks like a DP.
Whatever it is, it looks like a DP car, which means it's fucking fast. And then if you go up back here, there's an E30 and a Miata with a giant flat rubber apron for aero.
I actually feel like that's fairly smart. If it's probably plastic, but like
it is smart. But I'm just like it's a Miata with an improvised aerodynamics. And then we have
on that DP. What do you think is improvised?
I mean, it looks like a DP. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it is now.
No, does that say Ford on the front of it? That's a Ford oval, right?
It's an oval, but it's red, so I don't know what it actually is.
The Lola oval isn't red, I don't think.
I don't know. I think that's a DP car.
I mean, but look at this Camaro. Like, this has fake headlights because it's just like a stock car body.
Yeah, that looks like
some serious stuff.
That looks like a Pratt & Miller built car.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, with tube frame car, which is
fucking rad.
That's like what I ran in Grand Am years ago.
It's a cool field.
Yeah, Grand Am was cool.
Grand Am was awesome.
Yeah,
I had a great time in that series.
What did you drive?
So I ran a couple different cars in that. I ran the GTOR,
Oh yeah, that's a Pratt & Miller car, right?
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that thing it was so fast because they did an extra 2 years with that car, like a continuation run with it.
Yeah,
which
like
is when
after
I came
they stopped making it, right?
After they stopped making it, had such a big fan base, and then the guys that came in, brought the next car, which was the GXPR, which was like
the G6 GXPR,
ugliest.
Right? The car not remotely based on any production car.
Oh, no, none of them were.
Well,
so,
no,
I mean,
but yours was
the
cars. GTO was like a real model of a car. Like the GXPR was a front wheel drive car they turned into a rear wheel drive race car.
But I mean, and the only thing that was accurate to size was the body on it, and only to a degree, like lengthwise. So the regulations back then, I think, were that your wheelbase had to be within an inch of what the thing was. But the GXP, when they made that car, it was such a big car that they were struggling trying to get the wheelbase down on the GTO or on the GXPR, the race car.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that they had, one of the biggest issues, that it was such a long car.
Oh, was it a G8? It was a G8 GXP, not a G6 GXP.
Yes, it was
oh, okay, all right. Yeah, sorry.
But it was like
G6,
it was a two-door. It was the two-door coupe thingy that they had. Was that a G6?
That's a 6.
Yeah,
that's a 6.
But it was still
I guess
such
it was
a
still
massive
maybe too long.
car. It was huge. But compared to the GTO, it was just such a better handling car. And everywhere we went, we were quicker, significantly quicker, until Grand Am, and it actually screwed us all up because Grand Am threw a wrench a real wrench in our program. They're like, 51% of the weight has to be in the front.
Oh, really?
Oh my God.
Oh, I didn't know
We
that.
destroyed tires. It was just because if Porsche's not winning in sports cars, there is an issue.
Oh, is there a
board.
Porsche bias?
If Porsche isn't winning, there's an issue.
That's funny.
That's what I learned back then. But I had the opportunity to drive a Porsche at Laguna Seca at my home track, which
Lovely
was cool.
car.
It was a cool car.
A race car?
Yeah. So same team, Matt. When they kind of transitioned out of the GTO car, they had a Porsche, GT3 Cup car.
Those things are fucking great. They're really nice.
They are. It's interesting how much of the Porsche driving aesthetic translates from the street car to the race car.
Yeah.
And it's the handling of it is so similar. It's Porsches are always known to be a little ass happy, even though they have massive tires on the back.
Yeah.
And it still is the same way.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Pat Long a while ago about the RSR that they made, which they moved the motor in front of the
minute. Yeah, now it's
mid-engine
car.
Yeah. And I guess that's a completely different ballpark.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
we got to get Pat back on the show.
100%.
Didn't they have a little bit of a rough year just because the Ford GTs are so low and slippery, and the Gallardos too, and the Porsche just
Huracans.
Huracan. When I was at the race, I just saw how tall the comparison of roof height was really
I think what is the roof height on the Ford is 37 inches, 38 right in there.
I think it might be.
Low.
It's really low. It might be under 40.
Yeah.
I think it's under 40.
It's definitely under
39,
40.
yeah.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculously low.
Yeah.
Their top speeds are so fucking high.
But God, they sound horrible. The race car does.
The road car sounds better.
The road car sounds better.
The road car does sound better. Yeah.
The race car sounds like some kind of semi-muffled washing machine without the rubber.
I completely agree. It's a terrible sounding vehicle. And the guys who ran the team were making all kinds of it's the anti-lag and it's this and it's that, and it's it still sounds like dog shit.
Turbo V6, none of them sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there a single turbo V6 that sounds good? Has anyone done one yet?
Like a Group B car from the 80s, but that's cheating.
Dino, the Dino V6. No, I don't. No, not really.
I think it's just the architecture is not going to sound great.
V6s just don't sound good typically. It's not a good sounding.
They can be loud or quiet. That's it. I think they can't. I don't think they can be good or bad.
F-Type sounds okay, but that's not turbo. That's a supercharged. That one sounds okay.
The V8 one is unreal. The
V8 one is War God of Thunder.
I think of F-Type, and I'm just I remember I was doing Playboy Garage a couple years ago, and we had obviously all the lineup of cars, and that F-Type was probably my favorite car of all the ones that we had there that day, and we had a Turbo S. And
911 Turbo S?
Yeah.
They're pretty vacuum cleanery. They're pretty muted.
That was the thing. It was so muted for what it was. And then I got in the Jaguar and I was like, oh my God. You just give it a little bit of gas here and there, and sure enough, it's ass ends over here and tires over there.
Those early ones, the rear drive V8 ones, before they made all of them all-wheel drive.
Are they all all-wheel drive now?
All the V8s are all-wheel drive now.
Oh, see, I'd want a rear-wheel drive.
Well, that's the long play, long hold. In 10 years, the rear-wheel drive ones will be worth more than the all-wheel drive. But my favorite is the V6S manual coupe, which is actually very lovely and balanced.
Anything with a manual is just kind of
and it's a Getrag BMW box, so it's the same shifter feel as like an M3, which is lovely. It's very nice.
Yeah,
they made like 6 of them. Nobody buys them. You can't get them on a lot. You got to special order them. But I went on the press launch. They're great.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like to talk about because the manual versus automatic or Tiptronic and whatever it is nowadays. And, I had, my last E92 BMW was, it had the DCT and I realized like, when I'm here, I obviously don't have the normal day job kind of thing. So I'm just not doing all the commuting and stuff. So I was just like, I'm going to go back to driving stick every day, everywhere I go. And I've just been so much happier ever since.
If you don't have to slog it out in traffic for 40 minutes each
that's why I got the motorcycles
day.
now.
Oh yeah. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, we
Royal
definitely talk about that.
You rode one down here.
I rode the one I have here is the same one you saw the other day. It's the 2019 650 twin. It's the GT bike.
We talked about this on Sunday in Malibu before it fucking burned down. 2 Sundays ago, I guess it was. So I didn't realize I've seen Royal Enfields around. I've never given them much thought. I've sort of put them in a similar category as a Triumph or a BSA or something like that.
They totally were to some degree. And so obviously all the ones that were here, which have they haven't made a big impact in the US. And I think that now with these new model bikes that are going to finally be here on our shores by, hopefully end of March, early April of next year, is where we're getting the dates on it right now. This is the biggest bike they make. It's a 650cc twin. All the other bikes that they make are singles, and they're 350cc. The Himalayans, the 400, which is kind of weird, and then the 500s are the singles, which are awesome bikes. But it's they got that kind of that thumper feel. Yeah. But they're also built. The whole bike is built in India, and a lot of people don't realize that.
I didn't know that until you mentioned it.
Brand. Yeah.
When did that start?
Oh, dude, I couldn't even tell you. I think like late 80s. Early 90s.
Like a long fucking time ago.
It's been a while,
okay. Yeah, see, that I didn't know.
And they manufacture 800,000 bikes a year.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, they're not a small company. And so, the orange, that right there is the Interceptor. And then the one, if you see the white tank with the stripe on it, is the GT. It's on there somewhere. That was it just a second ago, but
they got an auto scroll happening.
Yeah,
here.
there it is. So that white tank right there. And you know what? I keep asking people, like I asked you the other day, what do you think that bike costs? And I've gotten basically a range from like 12 to 20 grand.
Yeah, I think my guess was like 12 to 15.
Yeah, that's what you said. And most people are like, because they're so used to the Ducati thing, and the bike looks like an expensive bike.
Yeah,
it really does. And
it looks to me like a Triumph or something. 6 is cheap. Like cheap. That's like cheaper than a Ninja or something.
And the one I have now, I have absolutely put through its paces. Like I've had this one in my possession for about a month, and I've put almost 2,000 miles on it, and not easy miles, like hard miles,
city miles, or
city miles, riding through Malibu miles, like aggressive riding. I went up to Newcomb's with it a couple weeks ago.
That's it, right?
That's it. There she is.
Yeah. It's a good looking bike.
It's a great.
It's a good looking bike. Who makes the engine? They make their own engines.
Everything. Every component on that thing is Royal Enfield, which is kind of like, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But they spent a couple years developing this motor, this whole package, and
how much power does that thing make? If you had to guess,
I think it's around 50 horsepower, I believe, which is plenty. But I mean, like, it scoots me up to 100 pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And Spike Ferriston stole it the weekend before out in Malibu. When I was out there with it again, and he's like, yeah, just drop it off at my house. I'm like, well, when I can drop it off,
that's a very Spike thing.
I will.
Just drop it off. Oh, here we go. What's that? Is this the Indian brochure?
I think so.
Yeah, that's.
It's the prices are Yeah, is that rupees?
Yeah, that's
Indian
rupees. That's definitely some rupees.
Yeah, it's 3.25 million rupees. Good thing we know that price for our Indian audience.
But no, it's a good bike. It's a quality bike. I mean, a lot of the engineering still.
Shit, that exchange rate. It's 1.4 cents to a rupee.
Oh my god,
it's not a good exchange rate right now. But the point is that you're actually going to be distributing these things.
Yeah. So I mean, my relationship with them is very new, and it is going to be really starting next year, and I'm excited about it because this is something that is the barrier to entry is very low, and I think that you've been in LA for probably as long or if not longer than me, and
10 years for me.
8.
Yeah.
For me. So it's like I've seen the number of motorcycles steadily increase every year, and more so in the past 6 months. Maybe because I'm paying more attention, but
no, I think the return of cafe racer style
totally
has been visible.
Yes.
In no small part to things like Deus. I mean, what's funny about Deus is like they try really hard to pretend like they're not a global company. Like that Deus in Venice. There's no acknowledgement of the fact that there's Deuses all over the world.
Well, see, here's the thing: is that the Deuses all over the world don't really acknowledge the Venice store, which is so strange to me. No, they act like a global brand outside of here.
Oh, really?
Which is That's weird.
Maybe it's maybe because in LA and in Venice, and it's more important to be quote authentic than it is, or local than it is other places in the world. But I mean, there's definitely the cafe racer thing works with the hipster look.
It does. It does.
And also, Triumphs are expensive.
Triumphs are the new Triumphs are I think start at $12,000.
Yeah, they're expensive
for the Bonnevilles, and so they're expensive. And that's a lot of people don't get a bike as their only form of transportation. It's usually a second form. So to have something where the barrier to entry is lower, it's a $6,000 bike, and they get to go have some fun riding it, and it's, for the most part, as far as I've seen with this one, pretty bulletproof.
That's good.
Which is awesome. And
the plus in LA, dude, the traffic is so fucked here. Plus, you're allowed to lane split, so there's a tangible advantage to having a motorcycle.
Yeah, 100%.
I will never drive to Beverly Hills from Venice. I take my scooter. I ride a 125, dude. I have a Yamaha 125.
Dude, I gotta get you on one of mine.
I'd love to try one. Yeah, I'll try one.
I'm definitely gonna get you on this
When I first came to LA, I was on a SV650 Suzuki for a year and a half, and it was great. I loved it, and it made my mom saw it. She cried and begged me to sell it.
I know.
It looked like kind of like a sport bike, and she doesn't know the fucking difference.
Yeah,
and so she thought, I'm like, I have a death wish or whatever. The scooter does not intimidate my mom. My mom comes over and sees the scooter. She's like, "What's that?" And but my scooter is the shit. I love my fucking scooter. It goes 60. A
lot of people dig them.
It's not. It doesn't even try to be cool.
Yeah.
It's the least pretentious thing you could drive. It cost me $0. I don't give a fuck about it. It's great. But if I want to go to Beverly Hills, it takes me 20 minutes to get there. It doesn't matter the traffic. I park right up front, and I don't want to think about it.
Dude, the parking is just is so clutch. That's the thing.
Because aren't there places that you won't go in a car because you the parking situation is so fucked, I'm not even going to go.
100%.
There's restaurants I won't go to anymore because the parking is so fucked. It sounds horrible, but it's true.
Yeah.
That's what it's like to live in this crowded city.
It is. And admittedly though, as kind of 2019 nears, come early January, I'm probably going to start, garaging the bikes a little more, just to reduce the risk. And I've got a lot of people that are counting on me next year.
Oh, you mean because of racing?
Yeah.
Because of that. And do they not like you riding motorcycles?
Oh, hell no.
Do you tell them?
I mean, it's kind of obvious at this point. I mean, it's every contract I've ever looked at and everything that they've ever put in front of me has always been if you do and you get hurt, and that's the reason you get hurt.
We're not paying you.
We're not paying you. You're not doing any of that stuff. And so
you're not hiding it, obviously, because it's on your Instagram.
No, I know that.
No, I know you're not.
And it's passion for me. I mean, it's become a passion. So the bike thing, obviously, I love cars, but again, the barrier of entry of cars and even the customizing of cars is fucking expensive.
Oh yeah.
It's like with the M6 that I'm doing, it's
oh yeah, I forgot that thing's rad.
Oh, it's rad. And that is, that's a whole different ballpark. That's, even though I'm doing a lot of the work myself on it, it's still fucking expensive.
Tell the people what you're doing.
So I got a really, really cool, I got a deal on a roller 1986 M6 couple months ago, and basically it was just ready to go. No motor, no transmission.
Minus drivetrain.
Minus drivetrain, as you saw from them. And, I just sat there and like my dad was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I remember those things. And Steve Dinan put up a picture of one like a while ago. And ever since then, it just kind of like stuck in my mind, like that cool, sleek, like ultimate 80s
they're so pretty.
look.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
And then I came across one.
But everyone I know who's owned one has said they're just a monstrous pain in the dick.
Well, that's why, like, I feel like one that didn't have a drivetrain in it would be like the fucking way to go.
Yeah.
So I found some evidence online that it had been done before, and I was looking at the inline six from the E46 M3 for a while, and the tons of people have done that with this, like the 635s from that same era. And then I was calling my guy up in Camarillo, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a ton of those motors. I've got an S62," and I'm like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's the motor from like the 99, 2000. She's like, "Actually, the one I have here is from 2000 from an M5." And I'm like, "Rad." Like,
so
what?
V8 swap.
How does that work? And he's literally like, "Well, you just get the little standalone ECU because this is still prior to where the major electronics came into play, and the standalone ECU is something that's doable back then." At least with that motor, and I admittedly was clueless. Like, this is not the mechanics of like at least the electronics. The mechanics I understand. The electronics that's like, I want nothing to do with it. And so he said, yeah, it's totally doable. People have done it, and if you wanna go about it, we can do it. I'm like, all right. And then I went back, got the car, and was like, yep, let's do this.
It's awesome.
So
V8 swap.
V8 swap.
Stock motor, right? You're not going to fuck with the motor,
no,
right?
hell no. It's a 400 horsepower motor.
It's double the power of one. Yeah.
I'm worried about after the first drive about like I'm going to get it and drive and be like, all right, now I need to upgrade the brakes.
Yeah, for sure. Is the diff stock? The original diff?
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, as long as you're not dumping the fucking clutch a million times,
I'm not trying to do crazy burnouts and whatnot. And
that's what GTO Engineering. I bought this Countach. And they were like, "Listen, I know how you drive. You can't be doing burnouts and shit in this because you'll blow up the diff." And I go, "Do you think I'm gonna be doing burnouts in a Countach? Like, really?" He's like, "Hey, man, you never know."
Well, everything about that car screams "do stupid shit" in me.
Yeah. Now you can't skip this wedding ring across the ocean because it'll sink after it falls.
That's gonna be fucking rad. Is the motor in it yet? What's the status of that?
So the motor, well, the transmission's in. The motor is like the final fitment is going in. So I was telling you, it goes in without having to move the firewall.
That's
good. But
good.
we did have to like move like the radiator forward a little bit, and some other components did get moved around. But yeah, I mean it's coming along. I'm hoping in the next couple weeks, to be able to drive it, which would be sweet. So I've got that project, and then I've got one other motorcycle project, and I think I was telling you about that one.
You did tell me about that one.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit, but again, one of my biggest things is I look at a lot of the custom markets, and like the costs on these things are astronomical. A lot of these guys do such cool like motorcycles. You got like the guys from Confederate. I know you're not a fan of those.
I mean, just because of the racism, but the rest of the bike itself seems all right.
And then you've got like the guys. Keanu Reeves has the Arch motorcycles.
Yeah,
right?
Those look cool. I see him riding around Venice. Doesn't he live? He lives in Venice, right?
I don't know.
I've seen him. I've seen his.
He
Keanu
definitely cruises around.
Yeah.
But he, and he does an incredible job. But those guys are re-engineering every single part on that bike, like every single aspect of that motorcycle down to the nut and bolt. Same with the Confederate. They do everything, and
that's why they're $80,000.
And that's exactly why. And yet there's this market for bikes that are drastically less than that, but also again back to the cafe racer kind of thing. So I'm doing a custom line of bikes based off of the Buell.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. So the Buells are really cool because they don't that top gas tank isn't actually a gas tank, and Eric Buell's a genius. Like he engineered his motorcycles really well, but the fuel is in the frame, which is super cool. That top area is actually an airbox.
Okay, so
you basically just delete that whole little hump looking gas tank thing and just stick a filter on there. But I'm doing everything kind of very unique, and I'm using a lot of components that are already on the market. And you do have to do some custom fab, like custom pipes. You got to do some custom stuff, but the idea is to do at this juncture, about 10 bikes, and about 10 in like a cafe, like a really cool cafe setup, and then 5 in like the cafe setup, another 5 in like a kind of a, I don't know, kind of like a Doomsday Scrambler looking
yeah,
thing.
like a supermoto-ish, or
but like the knobby tires.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
And one of the cool components on it is that obviously, you know, through racing, you meet a lot of people, a lot of race teams, a lot of manufacturers, and I know all the carbon guys really well, and there are a lot of used race carbon parts.
Yeah.
And so every one of my bikes is going to have carbon components on it that are been repurposed from an Indy car, which is really cool.
Like actually taken off a used race car.
Yes.
And,
That's rad.
Cut
Yeah.
or measured or changed to work for a bike.
Exactly. So, because I mean, the components on it are not like, it's not a whole lot of components in terms of like the carbon fiber stuff, but we're looking at like some cool number panels, some where you're filling in like gaps in, you know, where the subframes are. Just something that's like unique.
It's stuff that pretty much starts with like flat carbon
Yeah.
panels. Yeah.
And my goal is to keep the price on these things around 20.
I like that. What
a good
is
number.
that called?
So
Is that's a standard Buell or is that custom?
No, so that is
DD motorcycles.
that's an older model Buell. So if you look at the XB, so the frame of like the XB12, XB12R, actually you can see some custom ones there. There's another manufacturer that built 47. They're called Ronin. So like
I've heard of that.
So that's the base of my bikes right there. And so the Ronin guys.
Zoom out, Zach. There you go.
There you go. The Ronin guys built, 47 of these really cool
The size
custom
of that
bikes, but
front
they're 50
brake.
grand. So that's the thing. That's a really cool, like, it's a outer wheel mounted
That's a
front brake, and I'm keeping
crazy.
that. It's actually, Eric did a lot of things that were kind of out of the ball, like out of the norm.
Yeah.
And but it worked really well, and the bikes ride great. So yeah, you won't see any plastic on my
That's
bikes
super
whatsoever.
cool.
And the exhaust configuration for mine, which we just completed the test on, looks nothing like that at all. And
Is it more like Triumph Thruxton?
No, not at all.
Is it like 8 inches long, like those annoying sport bike exhausts?
No, I built a rear exit
Cool.
exhaust
Like
system.
under the tail?
Under the tail.
Yeah, neat.
Which is very, very cool. And so we use titanium pipes on that.
I like that. It keeps the bike narrow. I like when you don't have the pipes at the side.
Well, you realize that's a Harley Davidson motor.
Yeah.
And so a Harley Davidson motor with titanium pipes,
That sounds probably pretty cool.
it is very cool.
That sounds neat.
So it's instead of having that's blah 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 blah, like it all of a sudden has this like kind of, it sounds, I compare it to like an S63.
Oh, interesting.
That Mercedes, that low AMG rumble.
It's like those Italian cars from the 60s that used Ford and Chevy engines, but had their exhausts built by Italians and ran different cams, so they sounded a little. Like you ever drive an old Pantera?
Yeah.
Old Pantera is stock old Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds very different from like a Mustang, even though
I've
they use.
been deaf after
kinda
getting out of one of those.
Yeah, they sound very
Short
different.
drive.
Yeah. If you could, Zach Google's old Pantera.
Old Pantera.
Is that
there you go.
actually Pantera? Holy shit!
Of course it is.
I guess they've been around long enough.
That's a
that they
great
had a hair metal
Halloween
phase,
costume.
didn't they?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Jesus, that's really funny.
Yeah, no, the old Panteras. I actually one of the ones that I drove was a celebrity-owned one that I was actually helping move at one point, and I won't get too into detail, but his had been modified, and I drove it down the street on Sunset for like 5 minutes, and I got out, and the valet dude was like, "Oh yeah, park it over here." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What?"
What do they? What is the craziest thing about driving an Indy car? Because that's probably, you've driven a lot of race cars, but an Indy car is probably the most extreme vehicle that you've driven, right?
Yeah, it's in terms of the physicality of it. The first place I ever drove one was my first open test was in Sebring.
That's a rough place.
It's a rough place, but that's the test track where they do it, and physically that's not the most demanding track in the world. But it's when you're learning the car there, like it's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
And that was the previous generation body style. It's the same car, the DW12. And then the second test that I had done, the getting into the IndyCar situation was Sonoma, which was the first test day was Sebring one thing, and then Sonoma was the next one.
Yeah.
And Sonoma is like all the guys that that you'll talk to, you get out of a day of driving there and you're gassed.
Because the up, down, left, right G-forces, or because of the...
That turn, like that uphill, the turn one situation there is so gnarly because it's you basically go from your fifth gear flat out up the hill and then just bam, 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 down real quick. But it's full load. So you're going up a banked corner like this.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's full load. It's like the onboard video that I sent.
Oh, we have video, yeah. Where is it? Is that from Sonoma?
That's actually from Sonoma, yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's take a look at that.
And that's one of the places that's just, physically is one of the probably the most demanding places, I think, on the schedule. Now, it's not on the schedule next year. They did replace it. It's home.
Why is there no Sonoma next year?
They went to Laguna Seca.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. I guess they got a loud day. Let's see. Do we have audio? Oh, yeah. Here we go. Fuck me. So this is a current IndyCar?
This is the IndyCar with the so there was the year of the Chevy and Honda body kits, and so this is the Chevy body kit. And so they switched back to the Universal last year.
Jesus,
and then
the fucking speeds here are crazy.
This looks faster than the Civic we drove in Lemons.
Wow, you really ride the inside line here through turn 5.
Well, you can. It's so I think I botched this corner a little bit here. It came in a little hot.
But you can't take any. You can't really take any curbings here, right? Because the curbings are really tall for an Indy car, aren't they? You kind of got to stay off the curbs here.
It's a little slick,
a little slippery.
Wow,
yeah.
You're shifting. Was this fifth now? While going through the S's.
That's flat through the S's there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fucking gnarly.
Safety chicane.
This looks fun. I mean, that's it looks fun when you're by yourself and probably sketchy as hell in a field of 30.
Yeah. No, I had a light start there, 2014. That so in qualifying, practice was good. Practice went good, and we were quick. And in qualifying, we had one of the battery terminals, but behind basically inaccessible during qualifying. We had to tear the car apart after that. So I basically started the back of the grid, and everyone just went to hell in front of me, and I somehow skirted through them, and that's when I was like, oh, that was probably one of the sketchier starts.
Yeah.
And then Mid Ohio can be.
Mid Ohio has got to be really gnarly
because they start you on the back straight.
Right. Well, because that's the only way that you'll be able to see the flag, right? If you start on the front straight, half the people are going to be in the whatever you call that section that you can't see the fucking flag stand from. That's a Mid Ohio in a really, because I raced at Mid Ohio in a very slow car.
Yeah.
So it's manageable. But Mid Ohio in a really fast car has to be one of the gnarlier places.
It's so cool. No, Mid Ohio is great. Mid Ohio is so much fun. And admittedly, my first trip to Mid Ohio was, it was when Joey. So when my driver coach Joey at that point, he had his big epic incident there. And so I remember being like, wow, this is like a little cautious going there. Somebody and has that just epic.
Have you driven it in the wet?
Yes.
That's fucking sketchy.
I love Mid Ohio.
You do?
Yes.
This is how you know you're a good racing driver. If you're a really good racing driver, you like Mid Ohio in the wet. If you're a pussy like me, you're like, no.
My best race at Mid Ohio was actually in the wet.
Really?
In the Grand Am car. I was like, so I was running a GT. I was leading GT at that point, but I was like midway through the DP field in a GT car.
Okay. That's amazing.
Which was awesome.
There's a
bunch of videos on YouTube about that. And
there can be like a 45-second gap between drivers like in the wet there. It's so crazy.
But I mean, I had figured out the line, and I spent a lot of time driving in the wet. You go up to Monterey and it's, that Pebble Beach weather, like, it's like 50-50 sometimes.
Yeah, but Mid Ohio is so slippery.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it so slippery? Is it just the surface?
They haven't repaved there in like 50 years, and they keep putting down this sealant, and so there's like 36 surface changes around. I mean, maybe he probably knows better than I do, but
there's a couple corners where it's like, the car gets a little light. Like you get this off camber, like up and over. You're like, oh, like where that car goes up to the top, it unloads, and you're like, ooh, I'm floating. And then, a couple of corners, you go down, actually, so you go down the back straight, you take that right, and then that up and over kind of deal, it can get a little sketchy up there. Like you see, like if you look at like a lot of the onboard videos, you'll see guys' hands being like, whoa, the whole way through there. It's where
you end up looping it to the inside because you use too much throttle.
Yeah, because you go way out, and then you bring it back in. And then that next corner, which is that after you do that left, the next corner is that right. And there's always a massive,
it's like a river. It's a river that forms through
right
there.
At the apex. Like right at the apex.
Yeah, I think they call that section Madness. Is that? I think that's what it's called, and for a reason, it's fucking shady. In the dry, Mid Ohio is it's called Madness. To the top right of that screen there.
There you go.
And you go up and over that. China Beach is the right hander at the end of the straight, and then Madness is over a blind crest. Car gets very light, and then the right hander after that, there's a river that runs through there.
Yeah, basically like 10 feet into the curbing on 9 there is where it just, there's like usually like a massive puddle because the track kind of comes down to this, and the curbing is like Matt said about Sonoma, the curbing there is actually kind of high in that inside of the corner, but some point there is like an actual river that just kind of runs across the track, and there's no getting around it. There's no.
It's just streaming across. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to the inside where all the curbing is making.
So the idea is to be straight, and then being when you hit that thing, just be pointed straight.
Ooh. But that whole section down there, that China Beach, Madness, and then what's the next one called? Harry Dawes?
Hurry Downs.
Hurry Downs? I'm reading from far away.
Harry Dawes section?
That whole section has all this weird patchy sealant on it that changes the surface right at the middle of the corner.
Yeah, I think that the plan with Mid-Ohio, and again, I know that they do a lot of work at that track. The people that run that place really do love it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they do a good job of track upkeep. But yeah,
well, the locals would prefer it this way. The locals know how to drive it, and they prefer it to be like that. The people like me who come in and visit, they go, "Wow, this place is fucked." But the locals are like, "No, it might be fucked, but it's fucked the way we like it to be fucked." And so, if you don't know how to drive it right, that's not your problem. That's not our problem.
No, it's one of my more favorite tracks. I've always loved Mid-Ohio.
What are some of your other favorite tracks?
So I did Toronto in the wet, and there's always a wet day at Toronto every year. But Toronto, my first time being there was in the wet, like the Friday and Saturday, and I love that track in the dry. I hate it in the wet. It is one of the most difficult because it's a street course, so it's walls. But like you go down the back straightaway into this right hand, kind of like. It's an over 90 degree, it's like a 110 degree corner. So you go into this corner that comes back on itself before it starts making this big left section. And the track width goes, like cuts by in half.
Oh,
it goes from being like, like it's 4-lane road on the back straight to being a 2-lane road. That's why you always see pileups there in the races every year.
Do you like street circuits in general?
I love them.
Like, do you like Belle Isle?
Street fan. Belle Isle, they need to fix that course. It's a little bumpy. It's real bumpy, but I wasn't running there the year that everything was being like they put down patching and they fixed track and shit was just flying up. Hinch picked up a 2-foot patch of asphalt or whatever the hell they put on there, and it just it sent him into the barriers, and he was just like, "This is insane."
Yeah. Didn't they stop the race? I think they stopped the race.
I think so at that point.
Or it might have happened during qualifying or something, but they stopped whatever it was they were doing that day. It was pretty fucked up. What's a track that you just hate? Is there a track you just can't stand driving?
If I'm driving, it's a good day.
It's better than sitting behind a desk, but
I do hate the Sebring, the test course at Sebring, because it's not the full course that you test on. It's like this back little this short course thing, and I can't stand that because it's like a mixture of a couple little club racing tracks or autocross stuff with an actual track built in there.
Yeah, half the track and then half an autocross through a section.
It's awful.
Yeah, that stinks.
And it's so bad.
In a really fast car, you're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
In a really fast car, yeah, you're like, oh, this isn't fun.
Yeah. What about the super speedways? Are you about those?
So
You seem so far like we've really focused on road course discussions more so than speedways.
I'm a big road course guy. That's where my comfort zone is. I'm fine on the oval and on,
What about Indy? Because Indy's like a rectangle. It's not even really like an oval.
Indy's definitely not an oval. It is a rectangle, but it's a very different. That track is very, very different from any oval, and any driver will tell you that. Those guys will, it's. The craziest thing is going down like the back straightaway and into that left-hander. And that's kind of the, because this is the quickest, into turn 3 is the quickest part of that track.
Is it, so turn 3 is quicker than into turn 1?
Yes.
Why? It looks the same on both sides to me, is it not?
No, not necessarily. It's just kind of the way it is. Turn 3 is a little more open.
Huh. So this map is not to scale, you're saying?
No, I mean it
can we get a Google Earth view? And maybe that'll I'm serious. Can we get that? Maybe that might improve.
A lot of the so the back straightaway 2 is where you catch a lot of like a tailwind. Mm-hmm. So it's also kind of like
wind direction.
Paul Tracy had when they were running the Mercedes motors back in the day, mm-hmm. and those guys were doing, God, I think I 245 miles an hour.
I recall a 240 number somewhere. Yeah. What are you guys doing now?
Well, the current Indy cars are. They're doing like 238, 239. I think was last.
It's pretty fucking fast, dude.
So
it's pretty
fast. Guys, yeah. That is what it. That's the. You'll see if they slow them down coming up or speed them up. They always speed them up for qualifying. That's the deal. But no, I'm preferential to the road courses, and next year, as we near towards next year, and I'm going to get ready to kind of announce what my plans are, and I think a lot of people have seen the involvement of like Gas Monkey coming into racing.
Yeah, that's
quite a bit.
How do you get along with Richard?
I get along with Richard really good. Richard's
couple Miller Lights, and not everything's good with Richard.
Richard's is genuinely a good person, and his heart's in the right place, and he really does love racing, and he's seen how a lot of the guys, he knows the sport now intimately, not just from me, but through like a lot of other guys. We just did, he just did the big sponsorship with Corey LaJoie at Texas Speedway. And that's a super under budget, underfunded team. And, he came in there to help them, get out there, run the race. And, although it wasn't the most successful endeavor in the world, it's still, to him, he's such a genuine fan of racing. And that's honest to God what the sport needs more of. And somebody like him coming in there and, helping me out and getting involved in motorsports kind of as a whole now.
Yeah,
and expanding his brand's footprint, which is obviously, it's
funny
internationally known.
Your family has Mexican restaurants. He's got a tequila. It seems to. It's kind of. Isn't there a Gas Monkey tequila now?
There is.
I think there is, right?
There is.
Have you tried it? Is it good?
I have cases of it.
Is it any good?
It's actually pretty. So it's a cinnamon flavored tequila.
Oh my God.
So it's. But
guaranteed to black out all women in the fucking room. Jesus Christ.
So
cinnamon tequila?
I can't do fire. I'm not a huge Fireball fan, but I like tequila. So it's definitely...
Is it halfway between tequila and Fireball, kind of?
It is a tequila version of Fireball.
Holy shit.
So...
I'll have to try some. You want to meet up at Baja later and fucking throw some down?
Absolutely. I'll definitely send some your way, too. You can take some home. No, it makes good drinks.
Yeah,
it's shocking, and I'm not just pushing product kind of deal, but
that's funny.
At first when I first heard about it, I was like, that sounds like a gnarly hangover, and among anything else. Like, I remember the first time that I tried it, I was like, is this gonna be like the movie The Hangover? I'm not gonna remember what I do in a couple hours.
You drink enough of it for sure. I never realized, going back to that picture of Indy, there's a fucking golf course in the middle of Indy.
Yeah.
I did not realize that at all. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I had no idea.
Indy, like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is
huge.
Crazy. The road course there is awesome.
I've played it in video games. It seems fun in video games.
The road course is really cool. So they changed so you remember when F1 was there, they didn't have quite that little section coming onto the straightaway. The F1 guys ran the banking. So,
yeah.
And once had they had the section they had now, I think that, the issues with the Formula One cars. Because I was there the year I was, spectating back then. I was there the year that they had like 4 cars on the grid.
Oh, I don't remember that. They had 4 cars on the grid?
Dude, all the Michelin tire cars pulled off.
Because they were just like, nope.
So Ralph Schumacher
were the tires not good put up to that?
Ralph Schumacher had a gnarly wreck into the wall coming onto the straightaway there, and but it was a tire malfunction. The tire blew out and just went boom, and that was, I think he was driving the Sauber, the BMWs back then, or was it Williams BMW? But he had a gnarly incident, and so all the cars went out for the start of the race on like the formation lap,
and just like yoink, pulled in,
and then before the lights they pulled in. So like they did their warm up formation lap, and then they all pulled into the pits,
and that was it.
And only 4 cars started the race. It was the 2 Ferraris and like 2. I think it was the Ferraris and the 2 Jordans.
Wow, I don't remember that. What year was that?
What, 2005?
Really? Oh God, I gotta go back and. I got to go back and read about that. That's crazy. Yeah. I did not know.
Look up 2005.
Look up Ralph Schumacher's crash at Indy. This is what I want to see.
Oh.
I mean, sorry, but Ralph Schumacher has an F. It's R-A-L-F Schumacher. Ralph. I feel like this is from the cover of that book, And They Walked Away. Do you have that book? I have a book called And They Walked Away that's like, seriously, it's this big. It's like 3 feet or 3.5 feet wide coffee table book. Him kicking his car.
Was he he was in a Toyota then? Ah, that was the Panasonic Toyota. There you go.
He seems displeased with his car.
But I think he had I think he might have had 2 wrecks there, like in the same place. But
I don't know. Seems like maybe
it was so bad.
Yeah,
it was so bad. I remember the video of it, and it was.
Well, there he is sliding.
Yeah, that's never good. Yeah.
So yeah, you're more road course. I feel you.
Yeah, I mean that's what I grew up on. That's what you grew up karting with, and you're not karting on any ovals. And that's kind of detrimental.
What is 3 hour? How long is the race? 2 hours? 2 hours and change? 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
How does that
usually 2.5
amount of
hours.
G-forces on one side of your body make you feel when you're done with that race?
Well, before even the open wheel stuff, like in the GT cars, like I was doing multiple runs. Like we do in the GT stuff, you run 2.5 hours, get out, somebody goes in for another 2 hours, and then the next person, then you go back in.
Yeah.
You kind of learn to you get stamina from that. But I mean, these are all things that you train for. Everyone trains very, very hard in order to do that. And for me, in anticipation of next year, I've seriously upped my training in the past couple weeks, and it's
what is the race driver workout about? What do you do? You do the head thing with the weights?
Yeah,
you do
absolutely.
That thing?
Yeah.
Do you have a rig that has weights hanging?
Yeah,
in it?
Totally.
Really?
It looks like they cut the center out of one of the 45-pound discs. You put on the end of it, so that kind of straps on your head, and then there's these bungee cords that your trainer will pull, and it's. For me, it's the past couple weeks has been tough because you're out of a car for a little while and you immediately lose that.
Yeah.
And especially in the neck strength. Everything else you kind of come back up to pretty quickly. But the best training for it outside of the gym. But again, racing it's not like golf. It's not like basketball where you can kind of go pick up a ball. I'm just gonna go dick around this afternoon and shoot some hoops or whatever it is.
A lot more planning involved.
A lot more planning involved and a lot more money involved. So karting is used regularly.
Oh, you practice by karting?
I do quite a bit. And,
really?
Yeah.
Where do you go? Cal Speedway?
I do. Yeah.
Do you have your own karts?
So I run with PGR, which is Phil Giebler's team, and it's Ricciardo kart, Daniel Ricciardo's go kart that he has. It's actually a great kart.
He's the manufacturer of the kart. Or it's
they're
his
manufactured
kart,
by Burrell, but they're called Ricciardo karts.
Oh, it's like his model.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How they drive? Is that
great.
Right there, number 11?
Yeah, this is old. This is from
That's
05.
old. Yeah, that's
My friend Nat Mundy, who started this go-kart track in New York, GPNY, which is the best indoor kart track ever.
I've
you know
heard of
GPNY?
that. I've heard of it. I heard it's unbelievable.
It's so great, and he now runs the kart track at Monticello Motor Club as well, up in New York. He is developing his own kart. With a manufacturer that's it's not like a shifter or anything. It's a rental cart, but it's a very high end rental cart.
Yeah.
And it's electric, but it runs AC power instead of DC power, so it doesn't slowly die over time like the like you go to K1 and the car and they fucking, this thing runs for 48 minutes and then just shuts off. Like it runs full power 48 minutes. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
I'd love to come do some karting.
Oh man.
If there's any way I can come hang out with you guys and do a little bit of karting,
I'd love to.
I'm not terrible. I mean, I'm not an IndyCar driver, but I'm not embarrassing.
So one of my buddies just did a movie called The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Patrick Dempsey producing.
You got it.
Yes.
And my buddy Milo is the star of that, and I actually took him karting to kind of give him like the run up. So he worked with me, and then we like went through kind of the entry to racing because he wanted to understand all the levels of it.
Do you know anything about driving, really?
I mean, he's a fan. He's a car guy.
Has he been to track days or anything like that before?
No, not really at all. So
what's that guy's last name? Milo what?
Ventimiglia.
Oh, Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Super good. Lives in Venice, too.
Does he? Yep. Oh, well, let's drink some cinnamon tequila and fucking get down.
Yeah, really, really good guy. And so he was like, I remember he got out there in the go-kart that day, and that was just like a tag 125. And he was just kind of like, oh my God, like this is physical.
Oh, karting? Yeah, dude. You do a 45-minute kart race. You can't lift your arms.
And I give him a lot of credit because he rode from our neighborhood all the way out to Cal Speed on his Harley.
Jesus.
Drove all day with me.
It's a long day.
And then rode back. And I'm just like,
long day, brother.
That guy works out so
hard. When's that movie coming out? Pretty soon, right?
Oof.
They're in post now.
They finished up filming up at Mosport during the was it the
World
they
were
Challenge?
Filming during the races. Yeah. And Zwart is involved in this as well,
Zwart's
right?
involved in it, and so is Pat Long. So
like all the people that we like are involved in this. Can you hook up? Can we get Milo on the podcast, you think?
I can always ask.
Yeah. I don't just want to come down and talk about his experience.
I know that he's super busy right now with the show.
Make those excuses, brother. What show is he on? A show?
Yeah, he's on. What's it called? What's that called? I admittedly.
I know the name. What is he on a show? Pull up his IMDb.
Oh, why is it killing
on a
me?
show? And then we're gonna get to some super chat.
It's the show that every girl on the planet has been watching lately. This is Us. There we go.
This is Us. Oh, there you go.
Yes, This is Us. Everyone loves that.
Oh yeah. Well, he's a good-looking man.
Yeah.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, no, good
This
for
is
him.
Us, yeah. I've read The Art of Racing in the Rain. I bet it's going to be an awesome movie.
I think it's going to be a great
It'll
movie.
be great. And it's got the right people attached to it. So
yeah, you have the star who is a car fan, like loves his cars, loves being able to, to drive and have fun and tinker. He likes his motorcycles and stuff too. And then you have Patrick, who has raced, has put a ton of time and money and effort and everything he's done. He's always done. When I was in Grand Am, Patrick was racing.
Yeah,
and
he's like ageless. He looks like a child, but he's like old as fuck.
Yeah, we're not going to be that way.
And I'm certainly not.
We're.
I look way older than I really am. But he's the man. And Zwart knows. No one knows how to film cars like Jeff Zwart. I mean, Jeff Zwart is the best at filming cars.
He's unreal. And I remember, I had heard the name so many times from so many people that were in this, kind of the automotive and like media center and between
around.
television, and they all know who he was. They'd all mention his name. Hey, have you ever met this guy? And like this. And when I finally met him, I was like, I have heard your name so many freaking times.
That's because not only as a photographer and a camera guy and a director and a producer, but also a racing driver. He's got trophies from Pikes Peak.
Yeah, I didn't know how. He's definitely. I me's got. I respect the heck out of him. He's done a lot of really cool stuff and.
Yeah, and he's the most like gentle, unassuming person ever. Like, just nice to see you.
No, he's awesome.
Chill as fuck. All right, fools. Well, get into the super chat. We got questions from people we can answer. Zach, you want to? Oh, that picture was so great of Zwart fucking shooting fire up that hill.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's fucking great. Oh, of course it's Larry Chen. How could that picture be anyone but Larry Chen who takes that? He's the man. Larry's gonna come shoot my Safari 911. Yay. Can you zoom in? I can't read those.
Thoughts on a...
Here's where we get to answer people's questions. All right. Let's see. Woolsey's. Can you zoom in one more? Thoughts on a Jeep J10 pickup. Cool or not cool? Cool. J10s are sweet, dude. There's some fucking rad ones. Look at that. Get that gray one in the top right. That's fucking dope. They're single cab, so they're going to be tiny.
And these things are actually starting to pick up value again. I keep seeing these in the Wagoneers.
Yeah.
Like,
Wagoneers are gone. Wagoneers are through the roof. They are. They're super expensive for a good one.
My buddy Brad's got one, and it is so nice.
There's a really dope one of these on Bring a Trailer right now that has the Levi's Denim Edition one, and it's extremely cool, and someone who listens to this show should buy it. The only problem is
Bring a Trailer is like the coolest thing.
If you want to waste $80,000, Bring a Trailer is a good place to do it. Yeah. Have you bought or sold on Bring a Trailer?
No, I never have, but I keep scouring it, and like my agent Hans, who you know.
Oh yeah, Hans Schiff, of course.
Sends
Hollywood
me
automotive super agent.
Sends me stuff, and I'm like, dude, yeah, book me more jobs.
Yeah,
sweet.
Buy things. Buy things,
Then,
Hans.
yeah.
I like having Hans as an agent because he calls me and we don't talk about work.
I know.
He's just like, I bought a 928. I'm like, thanks, Hans.
You get off the phone and you're like, like the first, I feel bad for his assistant sometimes because like the first 15 minutes of our conversation is like, and they listen in because in case they need something done. It's like 15 minutes of bullshitting about cars or what we're doing over the weekend or something like
and
that.
Then it's all
and
like,
then it's like,
Ashley,
all right,
are you still there?
3 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Shit, she is.
Oh yeah, you're still there. Okay, cool. We need to get this. Call this guy. Let's get this going, and it's awesome.
Oh man, yeah, no, J10s are really cool. Get one now before they get too expensive. They're
Very
really
cool looking truck.
Hey, Abel wants to know about your Zach's M3 took a crap before last week's show.
Not fixed. Haven't really looked at it through the codes up on the forums, and I've got a bunch of theories to work through this week.
He will have an update.
I'll have an update.
Our friend Chris Harris, host of Top Gear and driving NBC, had a little crash in England. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. He does a GT3 touring, and he was just driving down the road, and he came around a bend. He's in England.
Yeah.
Came around a bend, and there was a pickup truck doing a 3-point turn immediately on the other side of a blind corner, and he T-boned him. And I don't know
driving on the wrong side of the road.
It was the right side where he comes from, but it was the wrong side where we come from. He's fine, as far as I know.
All the people involved were fine.
Everyone's fine, but I told Chris to fucking send it.
Oh no, Subaru.
He didn't send it the way
Outback.
he should have. He should have drifted around the truck. What should Chris get now? He should get another GT3 touring.
Yeah.
It, other than crashing it probably worked out for him because now he gets an insurance check. He already put too many miles on that one. He was worried that he had too many miles on it because he had it a year and it had 10,000 miles or something on it. He drove it a fuckload. There it is. It's not the crashed pictures of it are on the Daily Mail or some bullshit.
All right.
Of course.
He should get another one because that car's rad. Hydro Eyes says, super stoked on the show today, listening while changing oil in my Outback, which recently had the motor rebuilt. I'm scoping out an 08 3.0 Outback for the future. Thoughts on it? Any thoughts, Ryan?
Don't they make a WRX wagon?
No.
Yeah. Well, they did.
They did.
Back in 08, they did.
They did. Yeah, they
I
don't
would get.
anymore.
I would get the 08. But I mean, you know what? Admittedly, I have a friend that has an Outback. He loves the thing, and he's like the adventurer.
Yeah.
So he's like the guy that's like, yeah, I'm taking off this weekend, and you won't hear from him until Monday morning again. You're like, oh, where'd you go? He's like, went out camping on some fire roads.
I go? Yeah. Actually, I think this generation of Outback, the 2008 and whatever surrounds it, is the best Outback that they ever made.
You could make it look cool.
I really do. I think this is the best one they ever made. I don't know about that 3.0. That's the 6-cylinder one.
It's an H6, right?
It's an H6. I never drove that one. I drove the later H6, which I think was a 3.6 that I didn't like at all. But in general, these cars with a little a snow tire on them or a little burly kind of tire and a set of Team Dynamics wheels are fucking dope. Whatever that one is, it's super clean.
Yeah, it's good. They're good looking cars.
These are my
Should work
favorite
for a
of
while.
all the Outbacks they ever made. So I say go forth and Outback.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Turbo G says, have you met Fernando Alonso?
Yeah.
F1 versus Indy.
I mean, in terms
Culture,
of F1 versus culture,
What
I
is the
think
culture
that
like?
he got a serious, culture shock last year when he came to the U.S. But he, in terms of the
he
fact,
enjoyed it, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Said he had a good time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that based on what his perception was, and to come over and see what it was like, he was so blown away by that. And it's obviously that's the biggest race of the year, and so he came over and did that, and he's doing it again this year. And I think McLaren, although they're not running a full-time team this year, I think that that's definitely in the cards in the future because Zach Brown, who runs that program, is, he comes from IndyCar. He comes from IndyCar, NASCAR, and that's why the opportunity is there. So I think that, Fernando will be back more and more and more. And
is he chill? Is he cool?
Yeah, he's a great guy. I spent a little bit of time with him and was very, very, cordial, and he was super nice. And as far as it comes, yeah.
Is Indy culture is not as snooty as F1, is it?
Not at all.
Not at all, right? I found it to be like halfway in between NASCAR and F1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's I think that the culture of racing in the US is you kind of couple like IMSA and IndyCar and like the world challenge stuff that kind of like has a very similar paddock feel.
Yeah.
And then NASCAR is kind of its own culture. It's not a little.
IndyCar's like it's like wine in a can.
NASCAR is fucking redneck.
A classy drink, but in an approachable container. Wine in a can is IndyCar.
maybe like a cocktail. We'll call it like a Jack and Coke kind of thing.
Long Beach Grand Prix. When I went down there, Graham invited me down.
Yeah.
And him and his people were super super sweet.
Yeah. Everyone in the paddock is.
But it was not
nice.
Like I went to Monaco Grand Prix, which is the hoitiest of the toity.
Yeah.
And it was nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was chill, actually. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun vibe at IndyCar.
Yeah. No, I mean, they do a good job. I mean, the series has done a really good job of working with, like, again, IMSA and the other series and creating a very cool environment. And IndyCar is really pushing, their drivers really hard. And that's kind of one of those things, like, you look at it, and, like, for me, I look at the business aspect of it. And in the future when I'm done driving, whatever I end up driving at the end of the day, and I still want to be involved with the sport, and my heart, I love IndyCar and I love the open wheel stuff, and I see
If you could only drive one kind of car, would it be the IndyCar?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I still love like the sport. The endurance racing is a lot of fun.
Endurance racing is a cool,
it's a really
team
good time.
sport.
Yeah, it is more. It's more of like the team aspect because you're driving with multiple people.
Yeah,
I mean, the majority of the races throughout the season, it's 2 people per car.
Right.
But you're looking at what the races that get all the exposure are obviously like the 12-hour, 24-hour, which is like
race.
3 and 4 driver stuff. I've seen as many as like 6 at Daytona before, and that's like when you have like a whole crew of gentleman drivers that are like, hey, let's How
is it to be the one pro in a crew?
I have not experienced that one before. I know some people that have.
We can ask Bill Auberlin about that one. Who I love, and he's a fucking maniac. Jay Stewart says, please elaborate why you said the Audi R8 is a boring car. Did you say that?
No.
Have you ever said that?
I can remember. I love that car.
Who said that? Did you say that on any program or anywhere, Ryan? Do you think the R8 is boring?
Was that on Playboy?
I may have said that. It at that point, so I got I probably said that years ago, but I think it was because I got a non-manual version of the R8, and they also they gave me I remember that car. It was the 10-cylinder, but it was the
paddles.
Yeah, and when you're considering that that's basically the same kind of base as like Gallardo, and I've spent a ton of time in Gallardos, and then you kind of get in that, and it's just like
a little bigger, a little softer.
Yeah, it's a lot softer, and the sound isn't there, which I don't need that, that ear-piercing sound all the time, but I mean, it was a very different driving experience considering the platform is relatively the same thing.
I never said the R8 is boring. I don't know who he was referring to. Maybe you, but I think if you're Ryan's size, you're definitely a Lamborghini guy, and if you're my size, the extra room of the Audi is much welcome. So, all right. Jord Dizzle says, hey, Matt, love the show. Live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I have a 2017 GT350. Any mods you do to it after the warranty expires for spirited back road driving? Well, 17 means Magna Ride, so you don't have to fuck with the suspension much. You may want to go with a set of Ford Racing springs. You may.
How stiff is that car stock? I've never even been in one.
It's not that stiff.
Okay,
it's not bad, but it's actually a really cool car.
It's a great car.
It's a great car.
But the R, with the magnetic ride and the really lightweight wheels. I mean, I would say get a set of Carbon Revolution wheels, but they're like fucking $15,000, so it's not really practical. I mean, it doesn't need much as long as you have magnetic ride.
Put springs over it.
Just a Ford Racing springs, not too low. Just a standard Ford Racing springs for that car. That's really it. It doesn't. I wouldn't do a whole. It doesn't need more power for sure.
That S3 I drove had mag ride, but it put springs on it. It was great.
Yeah,
it was
nice.
Really nice combination.
Yeah, it's good. That's all I would do, honestly. I don't think that car needs much of anything. I think they're lovely to drive. If you had a 15 base, without mag ride, then I would say like Coney's or Bilstein shocks and springs, because those were a little loosey goosey. But if you've got mag ride, just the springs. Yeah. Braden says, I have a 2014 Audi S4 with bolt-ons. It's good, but I don't find it fast or engaging enough. I'm in Canada, but I have a winter car already. Fun, fast, and road trip tolerable. Should I get an Audi RS3, a BMW M2, a Camaro 1LE, or a base GT350? Well, any recommendations there, Ryan?
Ooh, can they get the hatchback RS3 in Canada?
I think so.
100% there you go.
The RS3s are rowdy. They're
awesome.
Fucking bitching.
That is one of the coolest cars.
Yeah.
I think. Like, even
Get
the
that
previous,
mic back closer to yourself.
even the previous generation ones,
Yeah.
were so rad, and they didn't bring them here. And it was just,
the 5-cylinder's really cool.
it's very cool.
It's super strong. You can make a zillion horsepower with like 5 parts on one of those things. Do you see the one? The APR's got one that runs 9s.
I've heard it's crazy.
Yeah, they've got one that run. They put drag radials. They took out the interior, and it's got like 5 parts on it, and it runs 9s.
Ooh, not for Canada.
Not for Canada.
No. All
right.
The RS3 sedan is still
is a
an
cool car.
incredibly
Still-
well-rounded
yeah,
car.
it's
It's
a cool
very
car.
fast.
Sedan is good.
The hatchback is just so cool, though.
Yeah, the hatchback would have been better for road trip too.
Then I mean, I guess my I'd probably say the M2 after that.
The M2 I like because it's the right size. And it's got great visibility.
It's really
very
cool.
comfortable.
Seats fold down. I put a bunch of camera cases in it as well. It's way nicer to drive. I think the interior is way nicer than the Camaro. Even though I think the beam mirror interiors are a little boring right now. They're just like black, but I think the 1LE will look tired in a few years.
Yeah, and base GT350 are nice, but not, again, I wouldn't get the base one. If it's a brand new one and you can get magnetic ride, that's the newer one is the improved. I wouldn't get a 2015 base. That's where I stand.
How many people do you need to take on a road trip too? Because the RS3 you can hold 4 more comfortably than the M2 or the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the other 3 cars there, the back seat is not useful. So if there's
I don't know. I just love hatchbacks.
Me too.
I'm a huge hatchback fan.
big fan.
And it's like the 2 coolest. Like Mercedes wins for having like the coolest hatchback or excuse
like GLA.
I mean, it's like even because they made a kind of like ridiculous AMG version.
Yeah,
and it's
that engine is pretty rowdy.
But it's again with Audi. I mean, are they going to bring the RS6 wagon in this country or no?
Probably not.
See,
because it wouldn't sell.
It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Have you seen what the CTS-V wagons are going for?
They're
Like
expensive. The manuals.
Yeah.
Only
they're
the
like
manuals.
$50,000.
Yeah, the manuals
for
are,
a used car with 50,000 miles, which is like mind-boggling. But it's a great car.
The wagons are pretty rare, and manual wagons are very, very rare. I think there aren't a lot of those to choose from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the people that bought them new, a lot of them are just keeping them.
The only thing that I don't like about hatchbacks now is that if I'm putting something valuable in the back, I have to cover it. Like I like having a trunk that I can lock for
They have the covers.
They do,
The
but
cover.
it's like if my laptop's in there, someone could smash the window and get it. Whereas if it's in the trunk, they can't.
Could you get it? Could you Euro delivery an RS3 hatchback
Totally.
and bring it in? Because
To the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's the same as the like. In
You
terms
can
of
Euro
crash
delivery
testing,
any. Well, wait.
Yeah,
They
can
sell
you bring-
the Euro. Do they sell the hatchback here? They do, right?
No.
Oh, then no.
No sedan.
Okay.
No. You can't. Then if they don't sell it here, you can buy any U.S. spec car Euro delivery, but not if they don't get it.
Unless
if you
it's
can't
a
get it.
959 and you've gone through all
Unless
the
unless
legislation.
you show and display that
If you're
shit.
Bill
yeah.
Gates, you can bring in whatever you want.
Yeah. Philip says, do you think Toge style track battles will become more popular in the future? Like the Grid Life Speed Ring thing?
Does he mean like a hill climb, but with 2
Yeah,
cars
I'm
at once?
confused.
Or I'm kind of confused too.
I'm not sure what a Toge style,
Not
like
Fast
in
and Furious
Best
Tokyo
Motoring.
Drift.
Right.
that what we're
That's
getting
what I'm
at?
thinking is like mountain road, but with multiple cars, but probably not because passing would be very difficult.
Or maybe it was supposed to be tongue style street.
No, that's
track
like-
battles where guys are just yelling at each other.
Just
outside of cars.
Google
Plenty of
the
that.
Grid Life Speed Ring, which is a bracket racing head-to-head time attack style battle. And and we can't get a video of it, but go to images and let's see. The speed ring they made it like a head-to-head thing. So it was like A versus B, wheel to wheel, and then they sort of round robined it elimination style rather than just having cars lapping and then the best lap time wins.
Interesting.
Which I should probably talk about, well, maybe next show. I went to Global Time Attack at Buttonwillow, which was interesting to watch.
So this is a head-to-head. This is on Speed Hunters, not Speed Ventures. This
Pull
is
that over so they can see
Grid
it.
Life.
Yeah, so it's a head-to-head battle, but sort of halfway between Time Attack and wheel-to-wheel racing, which is pretty cool. I think that's what this is. I think they said it. I saw Chris Stewart from Grid Life. He said it was reasonably successful.
So do they start them? They start them tandem or side by side?
Side by side.
So they start them almost like FD, and they roll out and go, or they start at standing start.
It's standing start. Two cars
and one lap,
and they do. I don't know. It's like a 3-lap race or something.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
That's actually kind of the winner moves on. Which I think is pretty cool.
I think that's a pretty cool idea.
And then at the end, they do like a 5-car battle.
I like that better.
Whoa!
I like that better than the drag racing.
Yeah.
Set of things, because this is in my opinion, there's like more skill involved in the fact that you're on a track and you're going from left to right. This is very cool.
And like I just watched Time Attack, and like Global Time Attack it's a well run event. The cars are pretty cool. Seeing what people build is crazy, but like. Ultimately, Time Attack is a kind of a boring spectator sport.
Yeah.
You're really watching a track day, and like, all right, guys are going fast, and like some guys are really some dude was running a guy in a fucking Evo ran a 38 at Buttonwillow, a 138.
Wow,
wow, like
on Big Willow.
No, at Buttonwillow.
Oh, Buttonwillow.
Really, really fast. The big story from this Time Attack was that there was a Tesla Model 3 Performance that ran, and I talked to these guys. They were very nice guys, and they ran a 200.7 in a Model 3 Performance with modified suspension. Pretty good.
Wow.
Pretty good. And with their new like track mode or whatever, they could run like 7 laps. It was 6% battery life per lap. But then they had a 50 amp RV charger. So they could charge it like part of the way. They could run two 7-lap sessions in the morning. And then they'd have to drive to the supercharger 10 miles away at lunch, get back up to full charge, and then they could run 2 sessions in the afternoon. So, all right.
Yeah, 4 sessions, 28
Not
laps.
Not bad. And they ran a 200.7. They got on the podium, but then they got protested for not using a spec fuel. Seriously, someone protested them from the podium.
Seriously?
Yeah, for not using a spec fuel.
Well, actually, to be fair, they were using spec electricity because PG&E supplies electricity.
I don't understand.
California,
yeah, no,
everyone has the same electricity.
Which I think, which actually is the next person's question, is, but it was about this. So I think that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And I okay, if the rule says the rule should be changed to accommodate for
I guess
this.
Things like this always have to happen where someone does a new technology, the rule book doesn't fit it, and either they get labeled as cheaters and then they change the rule book, but they don't take the win away,
right?
Or they have to change the rule book. But that for someone to protest that, it's just like you got beat and you're
gay. It's a GHEY gay.
It's really lame.
But here's the funny part about it, right? So they ran a 200.78, and that was they were on the podium with that. It had coilover suspension, modified control arms, lightweight wheels, and upgraded tires, right? Homie went out after them in a fucking straight up rental Camaro. Run flats.
Awesome.
No prep, no tire pressures. My race car broke, so I rented this so I didn't lose my entry money and beat them by 3/4 of a second. So all this people, it's the fastest, man. Like, homie smoked you in a rental car. Shut the fuck up.
Well, the Camaro is an excellent car.
It's an excellent car.
And you know what? I really hope that rented Camaro
on Goodyear run flats, dude. No prep.
I hope that Camaro also beat whoever submitted the protest for spec fuel. I hope the Camaro beat them too.
The Buttonwillow, though, dudes, these guys push hard. In Buttonwillow, there's not a lot of places to actually have a crash. There's a lot of dirt, not much wall. And people were fucking sailing cars off the track.
All the time.
Sailing. You just turn around and just like
But
huge
there's those
dust
little
cloud.
rocks out there that are like I would say about an inch around, and you just annihilate floor pans.
Yeah.
I mean, like, real bad.
We were there once years ago, and a guy had flipped his brand new M3 because he went off and caught an edge in the dirt.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of cars that were snow plowing with their splitters and stuff, but it was people were pushing, man. What's your name? Pride in Performance. I detail high-end cars in the north of England. If I come to the UK, get in touch. Thank you. Don't ever if you come. Because if I come, I'm gonna have shit to do. But thanks. Honestly, when would I ever just be there? No, you're never just there.
No,
if I'm just somewhere, I'm in Venice, bro. I'm never just somewhere.
Just at home. That's
I get on a plane
too.
for a reason. John says, I'm replacing my supercharged E92 M3 competition for more of a daily driver for winters and bad roads on Long Island. New Audi S4 or RS3.
He's
Budget is
6'3".
$60K, 6'3", 265. I say get the RS3 because the RS3 is much more fun to drive than the S4. Still has a usable back seat.
Not behind him, but that doesn't matter. He can just put the seat back, and then whoever sits behind on the right is fine.
Yeah, I say RS3. Although Long Island has some fucked up roads, so you may want to. I mean, you're not going to like this, but you may want to look at a SQ5.
Yeah, I kind of dig the SQ5.
SQ5s are fast.
It's pretty cool, and all you got to do is get the APR tune on it.
Yeah,
and
isn't the APR tune like 80 horsepower on one of those things?
I don't know.
It's a bunch,
I've
right?
never been an Audi guy, other than like I've gotten to drive a couple times. Like the RS4, the manual all-wheel drive is like one of my favorite cars of all time. There's one again on Bring a Trailer right now. I think there's a blue one.
The RS4.
Yeah, and it's rad. It's such a good car.
They're so great, but you do not want to deal with the maintenance bills of one of those.
No, not at all.
They're a nightmare.
And yeah, no, I mean the Audis are usually more accommodating too for taller guys. This is your department, not me.
I think the RS3 is. I haven't driven an RS3 yet. I've driven the S3 and I've driven the TT RS. So I've experienced those things, but not at the same time. I found the S3 very roomy. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
it has a lot of.
Yeah, but this dude's coming from a supercharged.
It's coming from a supercharged E92 M3, but also like if those E92 M3s, I love them, but I really feel like you sit up on top of them and not down in them. The seating position's really high.
Yeah, True. I always ran my car like I was pretty low in the seating.
I like low. How tall are you?
5'9".
Yeah, a little shorter. He's 6'3". He's gonna feel like he's fucking smashing the ceiling of that thing. Nick says, "What is the trickiest corner to get right in a road or mild track car at Thunder Hill and at Sonoma?"
Wow.
Sonoma's got to be turn 1, right? Trickiest corner at Sonoma?
I mean, you know that I would say the following. So there's a couple different configurations of Sonoma. Turn 1 is tough, but it's really not in terms of like super difficult, because as long as once you get the bearings of like where the brake point is and primarily your brake release point, so that you're not overslowing the car going into that second corner, that little right-hander up there.
The right-hander over the crest?
I would say the trickier one is got to be the little S's, because you make a slight right, and then you make the left that goes down into the first apex. That's like a left-hander, and then you come back up the hill. So you go down. It's a lot like turn 6. That first section of it is like turn 6 at Laguna Seca, where it's like a little sketchy on the end, but not as so sketchy. But you go in there at full load, and you got to carry, like you overshoot. You feel like you're going to overshoot the corner. You have to carry so much speed going into it, and then the car catches on that uphill side of it, and then you basically aim it, and you're back on throttle. And then you go over the crest because it goes basically at the apex of the car.
It gets real light up at the top there.
It does like one of these. Yeah. It's like a full-on, and it's noticeable. So I'd say that was probably the trickiest corner for me to learn.
Just for me at Thunder Hill, it's that blind. There's a blind crest that I never ever trust the other side is there. I don't know I don't remember what corner it is.
Yeah.
But there's a blind crest. I went over it 100 times, and every time I was like, "There's nothing there."
You got to do it. We did years ago at Laguna Seca, the Skip Barber guys, and I learned about this. So when you go up to the corkscrew, right? Because the biggest thing is like you can't see anything, especially an open wheel car. You know, and when I first was like learning the track out there and how to drive out there, it was in a Skip Barber car.
So an old little Skippy formula car. Yeah.
And you come around and you're just like, oh, like shit, I'm turning, but like I don't know where the track is going to be in a second, so I don't know where I should come. Like the first times I turned too much, a couple times I did the Alex and Artie and went off. like into the apex a little. But those dudes were so smart by taking a cone, and there's a tree that is right on the outside. So when you turn, and that cone is still nailed to that tree to this day, which is so rad coming down. But that's like that's the reference point. So you come in, you make that left-hander, and you're like, oh, cool. There's the cone straight, full throttle down the hill.
Yeah, that helps.
So that's like
Road Atlanta's got a tree as well. When you come over 3, you aim for a tree there. Yeah.
But the thing is, like with that's stuff you're supposed to figure out in track walks. Or you do what they did, which is you make your own kind of accommodation, and hopefully nobody does anything about it.
Dude, track walks were the first track walk I ever did was the most helpful thing ever. Like little nuances of camber and elevation I didn't notice until I walked it.
You notice a lot more about the track itself once you walk it.
Yeah. It was super helpful.
And like even on weekends when, I've been spectating, not racing, I still will participate in track walks, with one of my old teams or people that I know, kind of thing, just for the knowledge.
You know what's fun too? If you have the opportunity is a track bicycle. No, seriously, bicycling a track is really fun.
No, it's good. Yeah,
and you can get some of the same elevation nuance.
There's always like in the racing paddock, there's like you get on the golf cart, drive, stop at the corner, walk around, get back on.
But like when I did like one lap of America, people would bring their bicycles and ride laps around the track because you weren't allowed to scout it in a car.
That? I heard that was
so fun. Yeah. It's so fun and it's so hard because it's just exhausting. And if you're not if you're the fastest guy, like you get to leave first, and so you can get to your hotel and like get to sleep. But if you're in a slower car and you have to wait till later in the day to leave, like you might leave the racetrack at 4 p.m. and have to drive 600 miles and you're exhausted. Alex says auto FRS is a daily in Tampa traffic with an Evo 8 weekend car. Sure. You ever drive an automatic FRS?
No.
It's totally decent. You not expect it to be. You go, FRS got to be manual.
So I've never driven the FRS. I've driven I drove a BRZ.
Same thing.
And I know it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't
exactly
manual, but it was like kind of cool. Is it the same motor? Is that same boxer?
Same everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Same everything. It's exactly
the BRZ is like 10% softer springs, but that's it.
It's fundamentally the same exact thing. The automatic gearbox is shockingly good. Mm-hmm. Every time I've driven one on a track, I've been impressed by it. Yeah, totally decent.
I like the way they look. They're kind of cool.
Yeah, they're just slow, but they're fine. But yeah, sure. The auto is fine, and you should not be, as a car guy, don't be embarrassed. They are responsive. It's fun to drive. It's cool. Yeah, Nate, get a Road Trek supercharger though, because it needs it. Nathan says, with a big donation, thank you, sir. Finally caught up to another live podcast. Thank you for the content, etc., etc. I will keep up the hustle, sir. No worries, thank you. Space Tug says, any tracks that are great in an Indy car but sketchy in a street car?
Again, I mean, it's any race car versus a street car. It's a matter of how your car's set up. That's just going to be like any track can be sketchy in anything, or it can be kind of whatever. That's kind of
like
an
we were talking about like crests. Like are there cars like Indy has so much downforce where over those crests are easier than in a street car where it gets light.
Yeah, but I mean, even in essence, if a car is getting light, even in a street car, it's going to be the same thing for the most part with a car with higher downforce, just not going to be as exaggerated. Okay. Because the track surfaces and elevation, things like that, are always still going to be the same no matter what you're driving. Right. Yeah, but certain things will be exaggerated in a street car. The track because I really don't have a lot of time in street cars at like all these different tracks. Like where we always do like when we did Playboy Garage, like everyone around here uses the same tracks.
Yeah.
You use like Thermal's like the only new one.
Yeah.
Thermal I think can be a little sketchy in a street car, just because
walls are very close.
Walls are very close, and the dust tends to blow there. So like every morning that track is real green. Like it's a good way to put it.
Let's see. Blake says, "What are your thoughts on the BMW 650 Gran Coupe?"
I had a press car for a week, and
a 650.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I mean, it's not an M6 Gran Coupe.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's more accessible cost wise. It's
I mean, it's better looking than the 5 Series.
It drives better than the 5 Series.
I disagree with that, but that's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I hate the front of these, and I hate the Gran Coupe back.
Yeah, I think they look better than the 5 Series.
Yeah,
but
I'm kind of with Matt on this one.
I don't know. I think the non-M's are like, especially because the M's are so watered down now. Like they're fast, but they're watered down.
Yeah.
The non-M's are really watered down.
They're just numb.
Yeah,
is the problem. Like all the new M cars, like the M4, I think was my biggest disappointment. I got in that and I was
huge.
It's huge, but like I drove like Mercedes still kept all of the fun of the C63. Like it's still
they're raw.
It's raw,
yeah.
And it's. I definitely understand why people wreck the shit out of these.
Yeah.
But like the M4 was just like it's quick, and it handles well. But my biggest thing with BMW and that I want to strangle whoever made that decision was when they went to the electric steering situation. I hate that. Because that was the thing. The E92 was, I think, probably one of the best iterations of the M cars. Between the E46 and they did make solid improvements, going into that E9 generation. But just all the new M cars are numb.
I like the M2. That's my choice of all BMWs right now is the M2. Yeah. But I agree with you fundamentally. The regular models are super watered down.
I might get some hate on this, but I have a ton of time in one, which is a part of the reason I like it. Johnny O'Connell drives one every day, but the ATS-V, although it looks a little dated, like it's still kind of cool looking. But
great steering,
dude.
Yeah,
that car is awesome. I drove that back and forth to Scottsdale like 3 times.
Yeah.
And then found every road. Like there's a bunch of cool roads up by Joshua Tree.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, the one where you ditch off by Palm Springs and go up by Idlewild?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the 74.
Yes.
That's the tits, dude.
And
that road rules.
I ruled that road in the ATS-V, and I had so much fun in that car. And I think that when the price comes down on those, like as they get older,
soon.
they're going to be, exactly.
I don't love the engine in those, but the chassis and the steering are amazing.
It's spot on.
Yeah.
And even the brakes were great.
That road that goes up the mountain by Palm Springs and around, I took a Macan Turbo S and I mobbed the shit out of it, dude. That car's like a luxury rally car. You can drive it really aggressively. It's very fun.
I drove, so when we filmed Playboy Garage, our camera car was a Macan Turbo.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they?
It was fantastic. And then
Such
everyone keeps telling me, I haven't driven one yet, so if Porsche people are listening and want to give me one to drive for a little bit, I want to try that Macan GTS.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean,
because if you talk to the Porsche engineer guys, their favorite iteration of every Porsche that's out is the GTS.
Yeah. It's the enthusiast choice. But I mean, if you've driven the Turbo a bunch, it's subtle changes. It's not a wildly different product. Like my good friend has an S with a Cobb tune and exhaust on it, and then I drove the Turbo S, and around town and when you're not driving them hard, they were 95% identical.
Yeah.
And when you started to really push it hard was when the Turbo S made a big difference.
Okay.
But like same thing with the GTS, like it's in between, but if you've got seat time in the Turbo, it'll be largely similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chancificaton says, I have $8,000. I'm looking for a fun sedan. Looking at a 2010 Passat with DSG? No. Or a Legacy GT? Yes. I live in North Carolina. Any suggestions? $8,000, I don't want to tell you, I hate to say this, is not very much money.
The Legacy is a Subaru.
The Legacy is a Subaru.
Yeah.
05 to 08 Legacy GT.
What is DSG?
Dual clutch. The Volkswagen dual, but 2010 dual clutch. That's not what you want right now.
You also just don't want something that complicated for $8,000, right?
I rode in a diesel Passat wagon situation.
Yeah.
With a manual.
Yeah.
But it had an epic tune on it.
Yeah.
And it hauled balls. That thing was so quick.
You know what I actually might recommend is a quote fixed Jetta TDI wagon. Like one of the newer ones because they took them back, they bought them back, they fixed them.
True.
I know someone who bought one after it was fixed and said it was 95% the same as before. Mm-hmm.
But cheaper
because nobody wanted them.
Yeah, that's a good call. Check that out. And if you get a Subaru, just make sure it's had like the 100,000 mile head gasket thing that happens. My brother bought an Outback for like $6,000, but then he had to do a head gasket after that, and that costs I think like $1,500 to $2,000.
Yeah.
But if you do that to those, then they just keep going.
But the Legacy GT, Ryan, of that generation has the STI motor in it and 6-speed.
Cool.
So
that STI motor is super cool.
It's fairly stout. Yeah.
High school friend of mine had a WRX with that STI, and I was like, this thing's pretty rad. We took it to Bear Valley, Northern California, and wintertime, like in the snow, and I was like, oh,
they're great.
Now it kind of makes sense.
But 8,000 is like, damn, man, you're worried about reliability at that point, because I assume he doesn't have an extra 8,000 on top of that for fucking parts. So
no, and you're gonna be looking at a car with 120 plus thousand.
Yeah, or maybe scope, like, honestly, like an Accord V6 manual. You know what I mean?
That's a really fun car, and it's just gonna work.
Yeah, Accord V6 manual, or that's kind of where I would go. Something Japanese and simple. You know, I wouldn't overthink that. Is that the end of our questions?
That is.
Right on time, because I don't want to push the barriers of live streaming. We had a little snafu at the 2-hour mark last time, but we're doing all right. What do you want to plug, Ryan, while you're here?
I mean, you know, I'm happy to be here. Not too much to plug, and I think we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
which was cool. And
if you're interested in Royal Enfield motorcycles, you can follow Ryan on Instagram.
Follow me. We'll have updates coming out, you know, in the coming months. You know, on the delivery of, you know, the new 650 twins coming into the country, because they're not here yet. That was last year.
That's fucking awesome.
Super Nationals, go-kart race. So
where was that?
Vegas. So Vegas
awesome.
Super Nationals are coming up. That's this coming weekend. That's biggest,
this weekend.
It's the biggest go-karting race in the world.
Are you racing it?
I'm not racing in that one.
Because we're going to be in Phoenix.
We're going to be in Phoenix that night, but I've got some stuff that I'm actually doing Thursday and Friday, which are the primary practice and then heat race days. So I just couldn't do it this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun. We'll follow Ryan on Instagram. It's Ryan Phinny.
Yes, sir.
For those on the audio stream. And good luck fucking doing your fucking racing and shit and selling motorcycles and building motorcycles, and we'll go drink some cinnamon tequila.
I like that idea.
Dude, if you're in Monterey or if you're in Venice Beach, Baja Cantina. I ate lunch there yesterday. Seriously. I did.
You gave me a text message.
I ate lunch there yesterday, and I ate way too many of those fucking chips. They're really good.
Oh, see, I avoided
homemade
it for that
chips.
reason.
I know, it's really a problem.
It's ironic when you think about it. Like, you know, growing up with that, and I'm not, 500 pounds.
You could be.
I just don't eat there that often. That's the thing.
And the rosemary
food is too
chicken.
good.
The rosemary chicken burrito is so on point. That's what I had
luckily,
yesterday.
I mean, the perks of being at the family restaurant. Luckily, they know me, and so I got to tell them, hey, I need the diet version of this stuff. Yeah. So it's not as exciting, but the food's always good.
Dude, Baja Cantina is a good Mexican restaurant in a sea of good Mexican restaurants in this city. It's excellent.
People. Yep.
Car people. I saw
people.
Someone rolled in on a 6'4" yesterday while I was having lunch. It was nice. It's great. I get to walk there. I don't have to drive, but it's good. Ryan Phinny on the Smoking Tire Podcast. We are powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally, something to say. We got Sammy Smith on the next show. Sam Smith, Road and Track, one of my favorite writers. He's coming to town. We're doing a little story together with a Civic Type R and an Integra Type R. For the live folks, that will be Thursday the 15th. Thursday the 15th at, I believe, 4 or 5 p.m. That'll be a fun show. Thank you all. See you later. Goodbye.